All right, is it live or is it Memorex? And here we are. Good morning, everybody. All right. For those joining this for our news or a recap on the replay, so from militiaman, salaries are to be paid this week. Are they going to be paid at 13.10 or the new rate? They are to be paid by 10.20. On 10.20, the Kurdistan region are holding elections. We are watching for the operational side of the budget, according to militiaman. This is what he's watching for. Um, and there's articles out of Iraq that are saying that Iraq completes the file or preparations to join the World Trade Organization. Um, and then there is a ruling out of the U.S. Treasury. It's very lengthy, so in a nutshell, I believe it's referring to displaced citizens. Um, and then the question of the day, what has to be dealt with before we see the rate change? Is that Iran being dealt with? Is that going to happen under the Biden Harris watch? Those are the questions of today. All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me move this chat so I can see you guys. Good morning, Vanessa. Lily. That was quick. Good morning, Paul. Christy, good morning. All right. How's everybody doing? All right. So, the question of the day, do we think that Iran, the deep state, and all that implies has to be dealt with before we're going to see the rate change? Because we are creeping ever closer to that date in November. And then that one article that I was talking about, so for all those who dig, it's the U.S. Treasury. The ruling is 31 CFR Part 501. And the final ruling effective date is November 7th, 2024. So, for all you people who like to dig for articles, you can read it and let me know what you think. Good morning, Sweet Tea, Brian. Coffee. As much as I want the rate changed tomorrow, there's just that nagging part that can't help but think that we have to endure a little longer. Good morning from Ohio, Nancy. Julie, good morning. Christy. Christy, exactly. Christy said we know Biden Harris won't deal with Iran, so yeah, it's just, I guess, with everything that I've been dealing with my wife and my wife's family, I've become a little bit more cynical in the last couple of days. So I apologize. I'm not my normal optimistic self. But, when you watch someone go from being alive, alert, their normal self, still dealing with cancer, but chemo and all that stuff, to literally gone in 4 weeks, and we all know what it's for or from, the injection. That's a big pill to swallow. So, good morning. Anyone I've missed? MT Billy. Hey, man, what's going on, buddy? Paul. Yeah, I'm praying for it every day. I'm praying for it every day. And I want it every day. I'll take 76 cents. I don't even need, whatever it is. Action is what I'm craving. Let's see some action. Let's see it happen. Um, let's move forward. So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything like that because, I wake up every morning hoping to see the rate change. And, the first thing I jump on Twitter and check in with Majid and all these guys to see what they're more boots on the ground. And I apologize. The guy that is in Iraq, let me get to him back here. Of course, when I need to find him, I can't. Applications. Oh, well. Here it is. ABU SNWS. I wish he had an easier name, Bob from Iraq or something. But I get on there and check to see what these guys are saying because they're actually, he's boots on the ground in Iraq, so he knows what's going on better than anyone else. Good morning, all. I get out there every morning looking for the new rate and looking for actionable news. But the one article from the Treasury about 6 months ago, Sudani was calling for displaced citizens to come home, doctors, lawyers, and professionals and things like that, because Iraq is growing and there's no stopping the growth that's coming to Iraq. And his point was, we need doctors and we need professionals to come back to Iraq to help us as we grow. So it's not, we're so far beyond the matter of if and the whole nonsense of, going to your bank and saying, oh, what do you know about the dinar? It's a scam. Those days are so long and gone. It's just now we're waiting for the shoe to drop and we're waiting for when. So I don't even entertain people who have these bank stories and it's, all this stuff, because for me, we're so far beyond that it's just, we're waiting for the operational side of the budget. We're waiting for the rate. We're waiting for HCL. We're waiting for all these things just to happen. The big question is what has to happen to remove the barrier to the new rate on the RV. If you believe in the global RV or not, I don't care. But what is the barrier? Because when you think about it, take a couple steps back, you think about it, there's a barrier. I mean, because there's so much that is happening with articles, with the growth in Iraq, the development road project, HCL. It's like all these things have been traveling independent roads, and they've all converged to a big roadblock. And that roadblock is the only thing keeping us from moving forward into the rate, moving forward into the new world, if you want to summarize it that way. What we have to figure out is what is that barrier and what is it going to take to remove that barrier and move forward. All right. Good morning, Gunny. So Christy says, I feel like it's done and they're slowly dripping it out, much like they do here. Monday's a holiday, 3-day weekend. I'm with you when. Yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, so it's just name the baby. What's the barrier? And what do we have to do to remove it? So I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's so multifaceted. do we have to wait for Nasara? Is Iraq being held up to go with the whole global RV Nasara and all that stuff? Can Iraq go ahead of all that? I think those are kind of the real questions. Do we have to see the whole curtain revealed before we see the rate in Iraq? Or does Iraq go first and kick everything off? So those are just the questions that I keep. It's like a yo-yo, just sitting there all day long. Well, if it's this has to roll out. If it's the other, this has to roll out. But there seems to be the common denominator is the politics that we're seeing in America. And I get it that Iraq doesn't care about American politics. They don't care about holidays and all that stuff. But if the U.S. Treasury is that barrier to greenlighting it all, U.S. Treasury, Interpol, then you have to follow that rabbit trail to say the political, and I'm trying to say this without getting another community strike. And if you haven't gone to my backup channel, I suggest that you do. But it all, to me, it kind of all boils down to Donald versus Joe versus Camel Toe. It all roads seem to be converging there, because we know that Donald's not going to let this happen under Joe's watch. So then that pulls into the equation. Do we have to see Nasara and all that implies before we're going to see the RV, or before we're going to see Iraq change the rate? Does that make sense to you guys? Gunny, voted in, reinstated, overturned, whatever, however that rolls out, because I really don't believe that it's going to happen under the current administration. I honestly don't know what to think about the Brunson case and if that's even real. I've seen a lot of people debunk it. But I think there are things that are on the books with SCOTUS that could overturn 20 and reinstate Trump. And I believe the second that happens, and in my opinion only, that Trump will whether you believe it has already happened or it's going to happen, but Trump will hand over the country to the military. Nasara is enacted, and all things unfold from there. Gunny, I agree. So you have to go back to Trump's 2016 inauguration, when he came down to do his speech, and then the heads of the military branches came down and surrounded him. In my conspiracy mind, he immediately handed over the country to the military, and they've been playing out the movie or whatever. I hate that phrase, but that they've been enacting the plan since 16 when Trump took office. That's my conspiracy opinion. But man, there's so much tied to that. And it's like, what we're seeing now in North Carolina, Florida, the hurricanes, all that stuff. It's like, is this a constant ongoing war between black hats and white hats? Are we not really in control of HARP? It's so multifaceted that it's just really, you can lose your mind thinking about this stuff sometimes. Good morning, David. And this is morphing into some sort of deep state conversation. So thank you, David. I appreciate that. Oh yeah. So let me say this too. My hearts and prayers are going out to everyone, not only in North Carolina but Florida. My father-in-law, uh, his home is in the path that the hurricane took, and I have not got caught up yet this morning. They could not evacuate north, so they went to the East Coast, but we have not heard from them yet. So, seriously, everyone pray for Florida. Continue prayers for North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee, and all those affected by these storms. Good morning, Ophelia. All right, guys, we're going to go till another 15 minutes, and then I got to take my mom to the airport. She's been here watching the pets while we've been gone. So let's, what are your thoughts? What do you want to talk about? David, it seems that all the necessary RVRI boxes have been checked. Yeah, that's kind of what we've been talking about this morning, that, all of our, so it's like, imagine the last year and you've had all these, and we're just talking about Iraq, you've had all these moving pieces, HCL, WTO, all the drama with ALOC and the CBI, all these pieces have been moving forward, and they've all converged to a point. And then that now they're at a roadblock barrier. So what's the barrier, and what has to happen before we remove that barrier? Good morning, Eric and Paul. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, everyone pray for. I've been through hurricanes in Florida. You're a real Floridian. You're used to storms and hurricanes and stuff like that. But when they're manipulated and HARP and all that stuff, it's different. And I think that's what we're seeing with this storm, this hurricane. It has been downgraded to Cat 1 last time I checked. Good morning, Eric. All right, guys, give me some stuff, bounce some stuff off of me. What's your thoughts? I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Awkward. I feel like you're sitting here watching me watch you watch me. Sweet tea. It's amazing hurricanes wars don't affect stock market. Yeah, it's because the stock market is fake. Byron, I don't know anything. I don't follow bonds, so I apologize. I don't know anything about Yellow Dragon bonds. It's funny, bonds. We had my wife's grandfather. He was such a cool guy. He worked for Boeing, and he was like their top sales guy or something. But he was like so cool. He reminded me of Frank Sinatra. Always had a scotch in his hand. But he would fly and deliver 747s and different planes to a foreign nation that would purchase these planes. He would fly with them to deliver the plane, and they would fly back. But the point being, with bonds, he had bonds and no one knew what they were. They were just in some lot box in his possession. And there was all kinds of family drama when he passed away. And his daughter was not very mentally healthy. And so no one knows what happened to this lot box with all these bonds in it. It's like literally there could be millions of dollars sitting in some crusty old lot box that someone's tossed in a junk pile somewhere. So it's like you have to wonder about stuff like that when we hear all the people talking about bonds are being paid and all this stuff. It's like those are, a bond is a literal contract for money. So it's like how many of those things are just going to be lost because people don't understand what they were, or younger generations get these things and they're like, what the heck's this? And they throw it away. So I mean that it just boggles my mind. Christy, when were the Iraqis going to take out? That was the 26th of September. So yeah, that they need to renew that effort. Captain, maybe the barrier is Iran's. Yeah, I do believe that Iran slash deep state is the barrier and all that implies. Sweet tea, I missed the very beginning, so you don't think it's imminent anymore. Going to be a while. I don't know. Sweet tea, I wake up every morning hoping to see that the new rates out there and everything, but that just little nagging voice in the back of my head, just I can't help but wonder if we have to endure this movie a little bit longer. David agreed. David said the financial black swan event needs to happen, in his opinion. Lane Lover with Iraq, isn't it true that if they were talking about resolving an issue, that's usually have already moved forward? Yeah, that's usually how things happen in Iraq, and from what we've heard from Mark and different people, is that when Iraq says that something needs to be dealt with by an insert a date, that usually means they've already done it. They kind of tell on themselves after the fact. Ophelia, yeah, that's I've seen those videos. Yes. Just reading. Sweet tea. Back to your point. Um, yeah, I still wake up every morning looking for it, but the thing we were discussing earlier is I can't see it happening under the current administration, because we know that anything that Kamala could use to campaign with, she would steal it and take it and run with it. So I would love for it to happen today, tomorrow, but I just, that little still small nagging voice is like, it can't happen until we see some political change. Yeah, I even hate saying those words because I don't want to have to endure this for another day. Um, but it's just, I can't get away from it. What do you guys think? Captain thinks it could happen and Kamala would still lose. With everything, I mean, you can't help but think. So, number one, you can't look at Kamala and not think she's 2.0. Um, she had that mask line there. Um, And you've seen like there's videos circulating of a male Indian actor who plays her in a similar area when they do those side by side face things. It's eerily uh, they look like each other. So and all like especially this $750 loan thing that came out with North Carolina. Um, there's so many things that like you that make her look so bad that you can't help but think that it's scripted. So, and then with all that being said, if we have to go through the election again and a repeat of 2020 happens and it's so blatantly obvious, is that what is the catalyst to kick off? Okay, enough is enough. Let's pull the curtain back, pull all the masks off, and say, here's reality. So, yes, Donnie did say this year, 2024. It seems like the movie script is making Biden and Hamilton look more and more ridiculous. Yes, agreed. Landlover, that's the $50 million question with her and Joe, and we've seen it for 4 years with all the sitcom like actions from Joe. It's like it has to be white hats because why would the black hats make themselves look so ridiculously dumb? Um, but it's like if the white hats are doing this and they're in control, how much more has to be revealed for the sheep and forcing red pills down people's throats? How much more do we have to endure before this is over? That's the part of me that gets really angry. How many more people have to die? How many more events, hurricanes have to happen? What and whose hand, the blood of these people, whose hands are they on? Someone's responsible. So it's just you literally could lose your mind thinking about who's responsible for what and if we're who wrote this movie, all this stuff. It's just oh my god. But at what point, landlubber, do we just rip the band-aid off and say deal with it? I mean, that's where I'm at. Let's rip the effing band-aid off and let the chips fall where they may. This is your reality. I don't care if you want to go stick your head in the back, dig a hole and stick your head in the sand. I don't care. This is reality. I'm over it all. Nico. It's all going to come down to with the election. Can't help but think that. I'm keyboard friends with Crash, um, The Matrix, and we've talked about this for God months or almost a year and a half now. Are we going to have to see the election roll out, see it be stolen again, and deal with the fallout? Sweet tea, my mother in law thinks climate change is causing more hurricanes because people watch the news. And it's like, oh my God, the if people would just stop watching the news and dig into finding factual information on their own, but people are lazy. David, I agree. empty belly feels that Iraq goes first. I have always felt that, and I still am holding on to that hope. And they could kick off everything. But again, it comes back down to if it does go, who's going to take credit for it? Um, are they just going to spin the narrative that the U.S. is hands off and it's only Iraq has done all these things on their own, and it's not. There's no presidential figure that's going to take a claim to fame for it, credit for it. So if they can just spin it to where like, hey, look at Iraq over here, they've done so much, since the Gulf War, and look at them go, then yeah, it could go first. But if politicians being politicians, everyone wants to steal the news and be like, oh, look what I've done for Iraq. So who knows? Yeah, like I said, I would love to go to the bank today, and I would go there for 76 cents all day long. So, Captain, yeah, it is exciting, tongue in cheek. We're living in history, um, but it's extremely frustrating. All right, 5 more minutes and we're going to wrap it up, guys, because I don't want to keep everybody tied up sitting here listening to me rant. This is the first live we've had in 2 weeks, so. I appreciate everyone joining in. So Florida Jeeper. We're currently living in Mississippi, and I cannot wait to the day that we go back to St. Augustine. You're welcome, Sweet Tea. I appreciate that. All right, guys, wrapping it up. So again, thank you for being here, and I'll try to start getting these out every day again. But I just wanted to dive in and talk to you guys. So that's it for today, and we'll pray for good news. We'll pray for that barrier to be removed, if nothing else, for Iraq, and we'll get this thing going. So we'll catch y'all tomorrow or later on today if there's any breaking news. So have a great day, and we'll see you later.